early on, you know, and before the trial started. And during the trial, I think a couple of times it came up. I think that they were offering 5 years for me and 3 years for maybe my son Mike and for Tim.
It ended up Tim has 20, Mike has 10 months.
Yes.
The government would say to you, this American system you believe in is a system of laws, a jury system, 12 people. You had a chance to offer witnesses. You had a chance to make your case. You chose not to testify, which is a right of a defendant. People in your company, including a chief financial officer or primary financial officer, testified against you so that you had every opportunity, and a jury chose to convict you. What do you say to that?
Well, I say that to put it in the right context, the system, in my estimation, didn't work, unfortunately. And in the right context, starting with September 11th, we entered a period that there was fear, the market was going down, and then right after that was Enron. And a lot of people, rightly, I don't know what Enron did, but lost a lot of money. And so when it came for us to make the press release, there was the last question, and answered maybe poorly, but it was regarding the off-balance sheets.
$2.3 billion.
$3 billion. It was a lot higher than. Now, what happened? And why didn't we have those witnesses? And why didn't we have a better case? Well, let me start with one of the most important elements. We had hired one of the best auditing companies in the world.
Deloitte.
And they were with us 15, 20 years. Never had a problem. Always understood that what they advised, we would follow. We would never dispute them. So during this period in existence, Deloitte signed off, never had any problems. Then, when this disclosure came through,
of this $2.3 billion debt off the balance sheet.
Off balance sheet, that's correct. When that came through, the market started to go down. There was questions being asked.
Your stock lost 30%.
That's approximately right. Just before that, the night before we went there, Deloitte had agreed to sign our 8K and 10K so we could continue borrowing and being good credit. Well, fear set in. And what they did is they started asking questions and delaying and questions. As a consequence, we lost them.
You lost the support of your accounting firm.
Exactly.
They refused to sign the audit.
That's right. And they backed off. And when they did that, that dried up the credit facility. Okay? That's one example. At the same time, our legal people from the city of Pittsburgh that we had for 15, 20 years, one of the top law firms in Pittsburgh, if not the top law firm, they wrote us a letter and said they would no longer represent us because
they didn't feel like you had told them everything, is what they said.
That's what we didn't disclose everything.
Exactly.
So fear, and they backed off.
In other words, are you suggesting that they made things up because they were fearful of some kind of public criticism or consequences?
I think so, yes.
For this huge law firm that had to settle at $50 million. I mean,
yeah.
Accounting firm.
Yes. You know, and so I call it my high noon story. I don't know if you recall.
Gary Cooper.
But this is what happened to the company. Deloitte left us. Our chief law firms left us. Our directors, who I trusted and believed in, and when they asked us to consider stepping down.
This is independent directors, as so-called.
As soon as we thought it was for the best interest of the company, they turned on us.
And they asked you to resign and said if you didn't, it would be terrible for the company.
Yes. And they indicated that they forced us into resign. That is not accurate, but that's a minor point. It was our decision. We had the control of the votes, you know.
Right.
Okay. So they turned on us. And they became closely associated in working with Deloitte law firm, and they became closely associated with working with the SEC and the government. And so we lost their support, and they turned on us. And very honestly, they were protecting their interests so they wouldn't be accused of doing anything illegal. And they didn't, and they said that they didn't approve many things that were in the minutes, which they were. And as a consequence, we lost them. And then we lost some of our key people. They ran the company because of fear, because of their jobs. And then there was an edict put out by the company that nobody in the company could speak to the Rigases. And so we were shut off from practically all of our witnesses. So like Gary Cooper, when we thought we had all this support and we went to them, they were all gone. And we were left pretty isolated for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
It makes sense in a sense that people clearly did what you just said. They did, whether they did it for the motivation you said, that's different. I don't know their motivation, but they did. There is the letter from the law firm and explaining that, and there is on the record what the accounting firm refused to do and what they said. There's also, as you know, and I don't want to retry this case, but I want to give you a chance since you didn't take the stand, because I'm not a prosecutor. Mr. Brown's testimony, as you know, principal witness was Mr. Brown, James Brown, correct?
By far.
The witness against you. There were
Yes.
others, but he was a principal witness.
Yes.
And he was a significant employee of your company.
Correct. I hired him.
You now have one last appeal.